Becoming a content creator is actually a lot of work. And of course, I'm pretty sure you guys already know that. You don't realize how much work it actually takes until you start making content and being persistent with it. You have a lot to learn, and there are a lot of different skills that you just need to know if you're just one person. And I'm assuming most people don't have the money to just get this, pay someone else to do their videos or managing or anything like that. It's something that a lot of people don't realize when they start. So I have a few points here to explain kind of what I'm talking about, and just like let me know in the comments if you have ever tried to become a content creator, and if you did make it, let me know, or if you didn't make it, what was holding you back. So another thing that when you become a content creator, there are a lot of skills that you need to learn. I'm assuming you're one person and you're starting from scratch. There are so many things that you just have to learn. Let's talk about the technical side of things, which is you have to learn how to edit videos, do basic motion graphics, thumbnails, illustration, script writing, finding a niche, and honestly, just a bunch of other skills that you don't really realize. You have to learn multiple different softwares between your desktop and your phone, whether it is long content or short content. You have to be able to adapt to the algorithms or trends for the most part, unless you build yourself a cult-like audience who will stick around until the end, which a lot of people can do. Some people haven't, but it is kind of depending on what your niche is. However, there are so many creators out there that you have to compete with all of them. Another thing that you have to learn is that you have to learn the psychology behind everything. You have to learn how to market yourself. You need to learn how metric works. You need about time retention and like why people click on thumbnails and human psychology. And there's just much more to it than a lot of people don't know. And another thing that a lot of people don't mention is like the mental strain of all of this. For example, there are some like things like monetary stress, decision paralysis, burnout, having to deal with people on the internet because people on the internet are fucking goobers. And it's just like you don't even know if it's all worth it. It's just kind of something that you don't realize when you start making it, unless you're really doing this for fun, and then you might actually make it because you're doing it for fun. And last thing that you kind of have to realize is you have to wear a mask quite a lot. And this isn't for all channels, but when you make content, you kind of have to think of all the right words to say. You have to think about how to say them. You have to think about voice inflections. You have to think about pacing. And it's not a way where most people generally talk. Like you have to slow down quite a bit and you have to put emphasis on certain words. And it's not something that a lot of people are willing to do because it's kind of odd to like think about this stuff because it's not something you're used to. And on top of all of this, you have to be consistent and you have to put out content like you're a robot. Like we already feel like a robot basically because we're working a 9 to 5, but this honestly makes it even worse because you're just staring at a screen for most of the day and you like get like carpal tunnel and stuff and like your back starts to hurt because you're sitting all day, or I don't even know. There's some other physical things that you probably don't even realize as well when you start making content. Another thing is that people do not make it. So let's be honest, most people do not make it as a content creator. It's another one of those things where you have to be like the top 1% to make it in a field like this. And honestly, I think it's even less than that. And this is another mental thing you have to deal with. You do not know if you're going to make it. You genuinely have to be obsessed with making content. You want to do it more than anything in the world. And you have to make sacrifices that you might not want to make. So it kind of means like late nights, skipping out on friends, skipping out on family. And it's not worth it to a lot of people because what if they put in all this work only for it to go nowhere? Also, the life of a content creator, assuming you don't make it, is only about 5 to 7 years on average. You have to learn how to adapt to algorithms that are constantly changing. For instance, who knows if this commentary channel will even last or make it? I know commentary is pretty big right now, and who knows, maybe it won't be big in like next few years. And another thing that you have to deal with is creator burnout too, because you have to constantly think of ideas and do everything to get people to watch. Another thing is that your audience will probably evolve. So who knows? They might not stick around for your videos anymore. And there are a lot of things you have to take in and understand when becoming a content creator. And now that there's so much competition now, like I literally just went on Instagram and saw like an AI content creator and she had like 70K followers. And I'm just like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. You have to compete with other creators, AI, you have to compete with short content. even if you start making it in shorter content, the return on investment is not high unless you get brand deals or like anything along those lines. There's a lot of competition, and it's not even people just in your niche anymore. You have to compete with everyone now. And the fact that AI is getting more views than like an actual creator, it boggles my mind because it's not fair to me. And who knows, that person probably wasn't even like a woman. Could have just been a dude making content and like putting anything in the generators. And I don't know. I want to make a video on something like that, but I'll talk about that in a different time. Another thing about YouTube is that it is like a 1099 job. I don't know if you've ever had a 1099 position or have fallen to those devil corps like I did, but if you did something similar to that, then you probably understand what I'm talking about. When you do YouTube, it's not a consistent, steady income. That's just the reality of it. It's like a commission only job. Most people are not okay with that. And there are months you do really well, and there are months you do not do really well. You have to be good with money because if you spend all of your money on the high ups, then you won't be prepared for the lows. People like income they can rely on, and being uncomfortable financially isn't something people really want to do. And money causes people so much stress already, as much as it is. If you quit everything to do this, life is going to smack you in the face at one point, and you'll have to learn how to figure it out. You don't know what your next paycheck is going to look like. Another thing is that people think this is like a financial freedom thing, and in reality, I would say it's more work than a 9 to 5. And when you're first starting out, you're going to be working your 9 to 5 because you want that steady income and you have to survive and you need to buy groceries and stuff like that. And then you're coming home to even work more. So that's why I mean you have to make like sacrifices and stuff like that. Even when you do make it, you still kind of have to treat it like a 9 to 5 and like a job. So you can be consistent, generate content, interact with your audience, all that kind of stuff. It's not some financial freedom people think it is. However, if you would rather do this than work for someone else, then be my guest. Another thing that people kind of don't realize about content creation is that content creation is not the final goal. At least in my opinion, a lot of people think content creation is the goal and they want to be a creator and all this stuff. However, I would argue it's more of a funnel than it is the goal. A lot of people use content and social media as a means to an end. So if you're running a business and you want to build an audience and build trust with that audience and all that stuff and interact with people, that's kind of what I would think content creation really is. I'm not saying you can't be a full time creator because it can happen and there's tons of them. But I would just say most people use it as a funnel to whatever it is they're promoting. Like if you're starting a business, like I have a few things that I'm working on as well, then content creation is also going to be a good part of the funnel. And if you make money through content creation, then that's also sick. So I don't know, it's just something I've kind of been realizing as I've been getting more into content creation is that it's not the final goal, but it's more of a funnel to help you towards your final goal. But anyways, guys, that's kind of all I had to talk about today, and kind of kept it relatively short. I think I had to find Team Aqua and where what is it underwater or whatever. And I'm really working on my team right now. I might just do a rare candy glitch and hopefully I don't get a bad egg. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you check out my descriptions or whatever you guys want to do, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.